Hey, and welcome to the Reset Podcast. Everything you need to know that your therapist probably never told you. Researched by experts, real life experiences. This is Reset.
Oh man, today's topic I know is one that's going to create a lot of opinions because we all know online dating is a big thing right now.
You know what? We're not afraid of opinions, and we believe that everyone's entitled to one.
But let's just talk about a real crisis that's occurring that, I hear it daily, almost hourly with clients I work with. And we hear it from friends who are even single, ready to mingle, of all ages, by the way. We're talking about 18 till 68. And it's the concept in which they're striking out tremendously on online dating, but they're actually getting hurt from online dating, where it's David from Schitt's Creek who said, I think he said that online dating is a amusement park for narcissists. And I think he's dead on. I really do. And so where do we begin with this one? Because I have a lot of opinions about this and thoughts around this one.
Well, you're the one who hears all day, like you were saying, the struggles and the heartache of clients trying online dating. What do you think the biggest problem is with online dating?
Well,
like
I think
the reoccurring problem.
Well, I think there's lots there. I think first of all, the foundation is just like anything else in life, you kind of get what you pay for. And so if you go after these apps that are free, like Hinge or Tinder, what happens, and there's other ones out there, just like anything else, you pay what you get for. Versus if you're on eHarmony or Match, where you have to actually pay a certain amount of money per month, it kind of weeds out some of the duds. And people actually have some skin in the game. But what's happening is we're creating a catalog of men and women. And I'm not sure that's how romance begins. And I'm not sure that's necessarily how dating should begin, per se, is going through a catalog. So if we're picking out our Christmas gifts in the Sears catalog back in 1985. Remember those days?
I do remember. I would circle everything from the Toys R Us magazine.
And so a lot of the aspects of having someone, for example, come in and say, hey, I want to set you up. And someone vouches for the person. And someone who's known this person for many years says, oh my gosh, I feel like you guys would be perfect for each other. What's happening, a lot of that's gone. And so then we're now getting this place where we're just trying to pick someone out of a catalog based on either pictures or based on a description.
I do agree. It's a weird feeling to just be looking through, person after person, like a catalog. So does that mean you are totally against online dating as a therapist? Do you think it's not good? It's not healthy? What's your opinion on it?
No, I think it depends on the person. I think a few things. I think first of all, if you're someone who has really hard time with rejection, then you shouldn't be online dating because there's a massive amount of rejection you feel. I think if you're someone who is hurt and trying to rehabilitate your pain through dating or through having sex and hooking up, then you shouldn't be on there as well. I also think if you are someone that has the ability to pay for, like I like these sites like eHarmony, Match.com. Probably those are the two ones that I've had the most success in my practice. And so I think that, I go back to, you pay what you get for. You pay what you get, and so you get what you pay for. If you're someone who's okay with being rejected, you're someone who's okay with paying for it, then to me, then sure, go after it. I just go back to is a lot of men are on there really just to hook up, and a lot of men will fake intimacy, tell you what you want to hear, tell them how much they love you, how beautiful you are as a woman, to gain sex. And then the other part of it is women will fake sex to gain intimacy. They will have sex or hook up, even though they don't want to, just to feel wanted by a man. And so we're seeing this cycle being played out, and we're feeding each other's really just different love languages, words of affirmation and physical touch. So my suggestion would be, and I really like this idea that I have my clients do, which is don't do this alone. Have 3 to 5 of your very best friends and family members involved. checking out the people who you want to go out with, going through your profile, making sure it looks right or well or correct, and also going through your matches, which is very vulnerable and can be very hard. But let me tell you, with accountability, especially in dating, and more people involved, you have way more success than you would doing this on your own by yourself in your bed, just swiping right constantly.
What I'm hearing from you saying that is those are the people who are serious about having a relationship. And those are the healthy people that should be online dating. Because you're, like you were saying, if you're just trying to get back at an ex or resolve some pain in your life, or you just want to get some, you don't want people weeding through your thing. You just want to go out with anybody who looks attractive to get what you want in that moment. When you're healthy and you want a relationship, online date. Don't do it just to go through the catalog and then get hurt or hurt somebody else in the process. In your practice, are you seeing more females get hurt or males get hurt, or would you say it's the same across the board?
Oh, by far, way more females are being hurt. It's just all part of this major crisis we have where young males are not dating anymore. They don't date in high school anymore because of certain laws have changed. Like you can't drive someone age 16 in certain states until you're 18 years old. You cannot get a license. We see that college kids are not dating anymore as well, that they're just being promiscuous, and the boys, the males, are just going out just to have sex and just trying to, in so many ways, just feed their physical appetites. And so we have this crisis that's going on, and by the way, this is nothing new. There's been a ton of research about this the last 10 years. There's a really good book called Boys Adrift that talks about this, that there's just this dating crisis where the aspect of a guy willing to plan the date, pay for the date, ask the girl out for a date, pick her up for the date, that stuff is gone. Mm-hmm. And the art of dating is just gone in so many ways. Tremendously. Obviously not with anyone or everyone, but we're talking about from age 20 on, we're seeing that. So we're talking about even seeing that with the aspect of even 30 and 40-year-olds. And with online dating, it's just made it a lot easier to hide behind a complex that you have or an imposter syndrome that you have, to then ask people. It's a numbers game, right? You just keep swiping and say yes, yes, yes until you get one that says yes back. There's no skin in the game anymore. And the crazy part about this is guys always want to know why my relationships aren't working. Why is it that I'm having a hard time finding a good girl? Well, I think the reality of it in so many ways is women are desiring this. This is what I hear all the time. I wish I could find a guy that would just take me out. I wish I could find a guy that would just take me out. Women really desire these meet cutes. They desire this kind of hopeless romantic, running each other at a Blockbuster and picking out the same movie, which I guess there's no Blockbuster anymore. But they're desiring that, and guys just don't know what to do with it. And so we see this concept in which fathers not teaching sons how to date or court correctly. We know that right now 20-year-olds are considered to be, that generation is considered to be the first fatherless generation, in which in 2010 there's close to 40% of birth certificates that have a father's name on it. And so then we see there's the byproduct of the fatherless generation, boys not being called into manhood, fathers not coming in and teaching them appropriately how to court and date and things like that. But the other side of it is so many women give away their bodies just to feel nurtured and loved, because once again, the aspect of no father in their life, they just want to feel loved. They want to feel nurtured and nourished from a male figure, and stats and research continue to support this. And so there's just a huge crisis.
Welcome to the part of the show where we talk about what we can learn from animals.
Yo, listen up. Did you know animals teach us about life? Like how to be a good husband or wife? Or maybe how to be a good parent or friend? Needless to say, lessons that will help us out in the end. So open up your heart and open up your mind to hear about which animal today that we will find.
I've been pushing you to and urging you to accept what I want in our lives.
Wow, that sounds quite demanding.
Meaning, do we dare get the third dog?
Absolutely not. I love dogs. I love them. I love them. I love them. But the third dog, who's going to want to watch 3 dogs?
So let's be clear. We have your dog, Wrigley, the golden retriever, which I consider him your dog because he wanted him.
Attached to me.
Yes, extremely. Then we got the perfect dog, Arnie,
Who's
aka
also my dog.
Yeah, Arnie, aka Arnold, aka the Arn dog.
Arnikins.
And she's just perfect. She's a Borky, Bajan Yorkie, whatever that means. And so I'm ready to get my dog.
Yes, and I'm in support of this. We've been talking about another golden retriever or a Bernese mountain dog. We like the ones that shed, apparently.
I want the Bernese mountain dog.
Okay.
I think I'm ready for him.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever you want, babe.
We name him Bernie, weekends at Bernie's. I mean, there's many ways we could go with this, with his personality. But here's the interesting part about me doing my research in the last few months about my Berner.
Okay.
Is tremendously the literature, as we say, talks about when you start training a Berner, as they call them, is they say that do not yell, raise your voice, or use a stern voice with the dog because the Berner actually has a sensitive spirit, a sensitive personality.
It's like our son.
Yes. And so the dog actually requires positive discipline, using your voice in a positive way. Basically saying it is tremendously motivated through
positive affirmation.
That's it.
Or positive discipline.
Yes. Which is interesting because there's actually one of our favorite, I think, parenting books is Positive Discipline.
Yes. Go get it right now.
Go get it, which I think was recommended actually from one of your best friend's dad, who is a principal, right? And so the whole point of reading that was just make me think more and more about us as parents, or even us when it comes as leaders and treating employees and things like that. Just like Berners, I think people are tremendously more motivated by positive affirmation, celebration, empathy than they are with yelling, screaming, arguing, debating, lecturing, all the negatives.
Absolutely. And I think when you're talking about Bernese mountain dogs, it makes me wonder, is this every single dog? And maybe they do have a more sensitive disposition and little spirit. But I think most dogs, the dog trainers that we have worked with, at least to help our little Goldie, have been very gentle and very affirming, very positive way of learning things. And you definitely will get a better result. It takes longer, though. This is the problem, is when you're training a dog and you're not just doing, I'm sorry if this offends people, but you're not just doing the zap collar, that is putting fear. So they're obeying out of fear. Like, oh, I don't want to do that because, ow, that hurt. But it takes 3 times, I would say, maybe even more of the work and time. But that's just like parenting. I could yell at my kid to put their socks and shoes on, or I could explain, you need to put your socks and shoes on right now because we're leaving in 2 minutes, and it's how I say it. It's the words, like we always say too. It doesn't matter what, sorry, let me rewind.
It's not what you say.
It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So I definitely agree, but I also just want to encourage everybody out there that there are some people like Joe Jardine who are just more naturally dispositioned, I think, with that positive outlook and more maybe patience, which is to be celebrated. And I have to be very aware and very intentional when I am parenting. I have to fight against the overreacting. I have to fight against wanting to yell and just get frustrated. So I want you to know you're not alone in that, but it's going to take more time and more effort to be gentle in your parenting. Not saying you're being permissive, you're disciplining with gentleness.
Well, I think about research done by B.F. Skinner, who created operant conditioning aspect of reward versus punishment when it comes to changing behavior. And so he does specifically research on corporal punishment, spanking your child, or maybe the aspect of just being more of an authoritarian disciplinary parent. And the byproduct, the result of it was, he said, don't do it. It actually doesn't create a child relationship attachment that is that's actually, close and healthy, it does the opposite. It says it actually creates a child that fears a mom and dad, that is a child that's very meek, a child that is not confident, a child that creates insecurities. And so he actually says a child, just like a Bernese Mountain Dog, responds a lot better to a parent who uses positive discipline, uses their words and their voice in a way that encourages them and calls them in versus calling them out. And so quickly, we've all been there where we want to use corporal punishment as a way to redirect behavior. But the byproduct of it, more times than not, he found out, is the kid will end up having a relationship with the parent that does that in a way where they grow up just with a sense of, with resentment in their lives. And so instead of creating that, close attachment, it creates that distant or ambivalent attachment with the parent. So I just think it's kind of interesting to me. It's just like, what we always learn from dogs, and so much of training a dog and being patient with the dog, and hearing that they found out that a certain dog breed does better that way, like eliminate that. It's interesting because we always talk about how our son is a lot like a dog and how he responds to certain parenting types. And we found out, I think, early on, by age 2, really, with this personality type, that being in so many ways very direct and maybe increase emotion or increase of tone of voice gets us nowhere with him. But if anyone has a Bernese Mountain Dog and has some very good tips on how to train them, please contact us through the Reset Group at theresetgroup.com. Thank you.
We will be reaching out to you in about 3 to 5 years.
And now back to the show.
Social psychology, they had a term which is women desire dads, not clads, meaning women are starting to date men who are 10, 15 years older, like a dad bod, right, than they do with really peers that are the same age within 5-year age difference. Because of this, they're searching and looking for someone to say, take me out, treat me right, ask me good questions, don't try to sleep with me on the first date, really invest in me. Are you willing to do that? And so we see that tremendously. Now, the byproduct, or the other side of that research they found with boys or with men, it coincides with this. They found out is a lot of men in 30s and 40s are actually dating, desiring women who are in their 20s and 25, 28, and mainly because they can, which is kind of wild to think about. And so, but this all is, you think about the social shift because of online dating. COVID obviously jumped into that tremendously, but there's so many of people who are so wounded and hurt by this process, because I don't think the process is broken. I think the people who are participating in this process are tremendously fractured.
Wow.
And so because of that, a lot of good people who want to get married, who want long-term relationships, connections, tremendously want to find that again. And this is also with, I would say, even with my clients who are part of the LGBTQ community, where they are tremendously fractured by, for example, the app Grindr, where they just feel they're just being pursued in all the wrong ways. So it's not just a, quote, heterosexual issue. It's also goes across even when it comes to homosexuality and things like that. And so it's just, we don't know how to court. We don't know how to date.
Lost the art of dating.
Yes. I think about this. I remember, I'm trying to think of I get different research from and studies for my social psychology class. And I think the publisher sent to me, must have been 7 years ago or 8 years ago, that the first time in American history we have more single people than married people. And in terms of sociologists, that's actually not considered to be healthy for a country. That actually marriage is considered to be very healthy for a country. There's a lot of stats, we could talk about this a different day, but there's a lot of stats evolving around. If you live in a neighborhood that has more married people than single people, crime goes down, but the health goes down. There's tremendous other stats that are combined with that. But I just think there's so many issues evolving with the people who go online dating. Easy, it's free, it's a numbers game. I'm willing to play it. Can I get what I want? Meaning, dating used to be an opportunity for you to give. Now, online dating in so many ways is the opportunity for you to take. And that is something that needs to be recognized and be aware of for people who decide to want to go online dating.
Phones have played a huge part of this. You know, a lot of a teenager's social life is through text messages, Snapchats, Instagram, TikTok. That's where they're feeding their social appetite. So I love what you said, though, about parents teaching the child how to do this. And we did an animal segment about the elephants, which reminds me of, you know, how the elephant comes alongside and takes care of their adolescent and shows them how to hunt, how to get along with a pack, how to find a mate. We have to, as parents, really step up in this area. When our kids start getting interested in a romantic relationship where, you know, maybe that's high school, let's show them how to do that well. Let's start changing that lane of how dating is. Let's be that generation that brings it back where people, it's nerve-wracking, ask someone out on a date in person, and teaching that art again of picking them up, taking them out, which I know, like you said, the driving thing, that's so interesting to think about as well. But even supporting your child any way you can, dropping them off, just supporting our kids in a healthy way so that they don't feel like they need to find somebody just to fill that need.
Well, this is why we take our kids on dates. And we take our kids on dates at a young age. I think the first time I took my daughter on a date, I think she was 2 years old. She's still in diapers. And this concept of us dressing up, planning the date, us paying for the date, giving good eye contact, having a conversation with them is twofold. First, for the daughter is I am setting a example and a foundation of the person who should be courting you should do. Anything below this benchmark or this bar that I'm setting, 2 words, but bye. Now for our son, we kind of do the opposite, which is, hey bud, what do you want to do with mom? Plan a date. Let's have fun. Let's enjoy. And so we're teaching him how to court correctly, just starting at a young age. It sounds weird, but you know, sometimes you wait until they're teenagers too late because they don't want to be part of that dynamic. And so you're right. There's a parenting aspect to it. I mean, obviously this is multivariable issue. We can't just point the finger at these apps and say you're wrong, because the reality of it is just we're not being good stewards of the opportunities of courting and dating that are there. And so we need to recognize as parents that, you know, it's good to instill these dynamics even at a younger age, not teach them to date, but teach them this is what healthy people do when they have interests in you.
Thank you so much for being here and listening to the Reset Podcast. We're so glad that you joined us. If you enjoyed this episode, we want to hear from you. Can you leave us a review, a rating, or maybe even hit that subscribe button, or share it with a friend that needs to hear it? We work with individuals, athletes, couples, and teams to overcome mental barriers that are holding them back from reaching their maximum potential. If that sounds like you, learn more about what we do at theresetgroup.com. We would love to connect with you on social media, so be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at The Reset Group. See you next time.